Meeting to order at 7:02, and let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to
the flag of the United States of America, Republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
Larry, did we get any public comment? No.
There was no public comment.
Okay. Can I have a motion to approve the Ordinance Committee Special Meeting on November 16th, 2020?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Bob. Second by Rob. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 3-0. Thank you. Economic Development Commission is one of the two ordinance we're going to discuss, as well as the Strategic Planning Commission and then Municipal Erosion Control. I feel the Economic Development Commission is the most important one, and that's the one we should really focus on today.
Are we going to break them up kind of one per day, one per meeting?
If we can get through the economic development and we have time and we feel like we want to go at it for strategic.
Yeah.
Okay, great. But I think the EDC one is the most important one out of those three. What do you think?
Oh yeah, that's the one that I care a whole lot about. Do we have anything, not less important, but anything that needs to get clear? Because let's just pretend we don't get through our conversation with EDC tonight because it just turns into a long thing. Do we have anything that we have to clear up specifically ahead of tomorrow's Board of Selectmen meeting?
If you would like, I can quickly go through the changes that were made for the Board of Selectmen following your meeting of 2 weeks ago. Just to give you a high-level overview of the changes that we put in, so you know.
Okay.
For the volunteer firefighter tax rebate, we cleaned it. We increased the amount up to $1,500 as discussed.
Yeah.
We cleaned it up. There were some misdesignations of volunteer firefighters. We made proper names where necessary, using defined terms, but mainly we increased it to $1,500. We added a new category, and Clay was supposed to get us the language, never did, so we defined it. How I did this: we have volunteers as someone who's a resident of Seymour who volunteers his or her services as a regular active member in good standing of the Seymour Fire Department or the Seymour Ambulance Association. We added a second definition of a retired volunteer as a resident of the town of Seymour who, 1, is age 65 or older, 2, has completed at least 25 years of service as a volunteer, and 3, continues to be active.
Go back to 25 years of service in the Seymour, Connecticut Fire Department.
Okay, and volunteer is defined as a resident who volunteers services as a regular member of the Seymour Fire Department or Seymour Ambulance only.
I understand.
Yeah, so that's how I defined it back in that way. Yeah, I can put it a second time if you want me to.
With these, yeah. Lay down.
Say volunteer. Hold on, I can do that. That's fine with.
Unless you guys think it's not necessary.
I'm not the lawyer, so I would care about the legalese of it. As long as it's defined in one section, okay, and somebody couldn't argue otherwise, then I would say it's okay.
Why not add it now? Because if we're even questioning it, I think it's clear. Let's not, you're right. They can actually look at it that way, and it caused us to have to spend time explaining it to them. So I'm going to add that right now. Hold on a second. Track changes. Here we go. Just give me 1 second here. Of the Seymour Fire Department or Seymour Ambulance Association, I think.
You want to be part of the Ordinance Committee? Okay. You can be part of it.
Okay, now it's going to say retired volunteer, 65 or older, 25 years of service as a volunteer as a member of the Seymour Fire Department or the Seymour Ambulance Association, Inc. and continues to be active with the Seymour Fire Department or Seymour Ambulance as such is defined by the Seymour Board of Fire Commissioners or Board of Ambulance Association as applicable. Okay. So then we make the benefits eligible, the people eligible for the benefits, both the volunteers or the retired volunteers. Beginning July 1, 2021 and thereafter, it's $1,500. And that's basically the changes that were made to do that.
Did we say that the $1,500, I know we said it's a tax abatement, but the monies can only be used towards taxable property in the town of Seymour?
Yeah, okay, here's how it's applied. Annually, on or before March 1st, the first selectman shall forward to the tax collector the final certified list with improved endorsement thereon. The tax collector shall then apply the abatement as follows. 1, first to any real estate taxes for real property on the town of Seymour assessment list in the eligible volunteer or retired volunteer's name. That's the same as it is now. Second, to any motor vehicle or personal property taxes on the town of Seymour assessment list in the volunteer or retired volunteer's name. Lastly, to any other real estate taxes for real property on the Seymour assessment list in their name. Any tax abatement earned but not fully credited may not be taken as a future credit.
Okay, good.
So got to be, yeah.
We have in there that their taxes must be in good standing, that this cannot be used towards any back taxes.
They don't have that now. Do you want to make that so this
is that,
or is that
a requirement, Anne Marie? I mean,
that was already included.
That was previously included. You'd only get this abatement if your taxes was in good standing.
Yeah, they didn't want somebody to not pay their $500 tax for 3 years and then say, oh yeah, I used my credit.
Got it. Well, there was no credit. If they had back taxes, it would just be applied to whatever's due.
Yeah, here it is. Yeah, there's a sentence in here, 6-37. This tax abatement is only available to volunteers and retired volunteers who are not delinquent in any tax obligation to the town of Seymour.
Okay.
That solves the problem, that exact problem of not paying your car taxes for 3 years.
Okay.
So that's the first. The second group of ordinances we looked at were Chapter 2. And a couple of the changes, the Committee on the Aging, it actually has to be the Commission on the Aging to be consistent with the charter. So it's just more of a nomenclature. You have 4 members, it needs to have 5 members. And we put down the duties, not only the duties already listed in the ordinance, but also those set forth in the town charter. So we make sure we include everything in one cohesive location.
So we need one more person. What do we need? That's a 5-person board? So
that's correct.
How many R's and how many D's are currently on it?
Is it supposed to be 2 and an independent?
I don't know.
Which board is that? That's
Commission of the Aging.
Aging?
Yes.
No, there's no specific, let me say the town charter. Hold on a second here.
How long has it been for?
Commission of the Aging?
Yeah. I mean, I'm just curious to know how these, because I've seen that before where the boards are put together and then they're not filling the requirement. And how do we keep up with that? It's just very difficult to.
We create a new commission that looks on commissions. It's all about more layers of government.
Layers upon layers.
Well, I will do it. Huh.
I can't tell when it was amended. You know, what happens is charters get amended, ordinances get amended. People don't go back and double check them.
I kind of feel like that would be
it would seem like every year everybody should have to, I mean, I know it sounds stupid, but everybody should have to review
and report to the
ordinance and charter. I mean, as a team, as on their own, you know, that board or that commission would have to review that. Should be mandatory.
One would think that that group itself would look at the charter and look at the ordinance before its first meeting and bring it to someone's attention that there's an inconsistency.
After reading the Economic Development Committee one, I know they're not reading it.
Yeah, there's no requirement of an independent, so I don't know what it is right now, Rory, on that group.
In terms of how these things are reviewed?
No. R's and D's, the 4 members. You have 2 and 2?
For Commission on the Aging, it's the same as everybody else, which is just, you know, minority representation.
No, I think the first selectman was asking, she's going to have to bring it up 1 more member. You'll just have to coordinate with her what party that member can.
Is it 3-1 right now?
I would have to check.
Okay. So to circle back, whether it's 2 and 2 or 3 and 1, you have to keep some minorities. So, okay.
That was Commission on the Aging. Board of Ethics, I changed the charter reference. Board of Ethics has to, I also changed the reference. You had a bare majority members of the same party. Your charter is a little bit different. It's 2 Ds, 2 Rs, and 1 unaffiliated voter. So I changed that to be consistent. Safety Commission was deleted. Welfare Advisory Board was deleted. Beautification Commission was deleted. Employee Safety Committee, it was a commission, I made it a committee. And to be consistent with the state statutes, we have to have at least as many employee members as employer members on the committee. And employer members shall be made by the first selectman, but the appointment of employee members have to be made by non-managerial employees of the town. So they have to self-appoint themselves. The non-managerial group would have to come up with a way to appoint members. And that's under the regs of Connecticut state agencies. And we tweaked that to make it consistent with the state statute. Also, the Arts and Culture Commission, we reduced it from 7 to 5 and deleted the reference to the Municipal Theater. Municipal Aquifer Protection Agency, we changed the reference to DEEP from DEP. Eliminated the Broad Street Park Commission, and that was it.
Kathy Rich, Evelyn Molnar, Phyllis Jakomowski, and Susan Riley are on the Commission of Aging.
Yeah, I'm looking at the webpage. Yep. They haven't met since
February
20th. And they canceled them. So January 1 too.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I think those are good to move forward to the board tomorrow. What do you think?
Mm-hmm. I think so.
Mm-hmm.
Agreed.
You know, I think we may get some questioning on the $1,500, but that's a state statute that they raised it to $1,500, and it is our.
And they're going to raise it again too.
Yeah, they are, and they are volunteers. They are giving up their time, so I think it's right.
Yep, I do too.
Okay.
Yeah, and you may want to have Doug ready with to give you the number of how much you expended this year, how much in abatements went out this year to these men and women, and how much an extra $500 would go, assuming they all qualified for the extra $500.
Oh, but the difference though is, Brian, we were cutting checks before this is truly going to be an abatement. So
correct.
Okay.
They probably have no idea how much was spent in whether it's checks or abatements, how much it cost the town. So it may not be a bad number to get. I would expect someone would ask that on the board, I would think.
All right. Are we ready to move on to the economic development?
Let's do it.
Okay.
There is a state statute on municipal economic development commissions. It's 7-136, and it allows any town, and I'll paraphrase, by ordinance, establish an economic development commission for promotion and development of economic resources of the municipality. The ordinance has to specify the number of members. You have to have at least 5, but no more than 15. You can have alternates. You can have them either elected or appointed. You have to set the terms, but the terms shall not exceed 5 years. And they have to be staggered terms. So 1/5 of the board expires each year if you're doing your 5-year terms. Vacancies can be filled by the first selectman. And the commission has to annually prepare a report to the legislative body of the municipality as to its activities. And it's empowered specifically to conduct research into economic conditions and trends, make recommendations regarding action to improve the economic condition and development, seek to coordinate activities and cooperate with unofficial bodies to promote economic development. It may advertise and distribute books, maps, charts, and pamphlets, and it can have a budget. No more than 1/20th of 1% of the grand list.
Okay.
Yours goes much further. You have a commission doing an awful lot more.
I mean, yeah, compared to what you just said, yeah. I mean, they're supposed to be making advisory to inland wetland and zoning enforcement and building inspector, written report to all the boards. There's a lot to it.
Well, they also have a penalty provision in here.
Yeah.
If someone is planning on coming in and they don't give their plans an industrial operation, it's going to change its operation. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Whether it's actually done, I don't know.
I've never seen it. But, I mean, there's a lot of things in there that we don't follow. I mean, so when I look at it, just the simple, all industry located in town steamroller, they're supposed to give us information about all the industries. I haven't seen any of that detail or documentation anywhere.
Yeah. And in the chart, I'm sorry. In the charter, it has 5 members, operational directives, research, recommendations to officials regarding improving economic condition and development and activities, and recommendations to the P&Z Commission regarding the master plan or the zoning regs. That's it.
I mean, I recommend a major overhaul on this.
Yeah, I agree.
What are your thoughts, Bob?
Well, I mean, I think by a bare minimum, I think some of the things that Brian mentioned about the elected and appointed, the staggered, the vacancies, and all that should be added at the beginning, right? We do have to add that to this, correct, Brian?
Yeah, I would. It's in your charter, 5 members that are appointments. The terms are 3 years. I assume you're running staggered terms right now, but we should specify that because we have to have staggered terms under the state statute. And Rory, am I correct that we have 5 members right now? That we follow the charter?
Correct, yeah, after the charter change, down to 5.
I think we take out I think the reports are important, but I think we have to rewrite how the reports are given to us, and then that other information about the 30 days and the written planning. I don't know. I don't think we should have any of that language in there.
I don't know legally that we can require that, because that goes contrary to the zoning regs and the zoning statutes. You're throwing another body and saying, I cannot get my zoning approval or my variance until I get a report from an advisory economic development commission.
Correct. That's the way
which is not necessarily a ground for denial of a zoning variance. It's a hardship is the standard, not whether I think we need another, you know, smelting company or fish company or manufacturing company in town.
Yep.
10.4 of the 10 charter.
It's actually 12.3. That's a it's mislabeled in your current ordinance. Look at 12.3.
So 12.3 of the charter says, I love my good and plenty. Find it more. The charter was, thank you. I don't want to see what's changed. Let's see the charter. Has anybody pulled it up yet?
Oh, the on the charter, yeah. I'm printing a copy out right now, and I'm looking over the ordinance one right now.
All right, you got the ordinance. I'll pull up the charter. 12.3, right?
That's correct.
Okay, there shall be an economic development commission consisting of 5 members who shall be administratively appointed by the first selectman, and the terms of the members shall be 3 years. Ye gods, it shall have the powers, duties, and responsibilities and be subject to the restrictions and limitations specified in the Connecticut General Statutes with respect to Economic Development Commission, as the same may from time to time be amended. So here it says the commission shall establish operational directives and be executed by the Director of Economic Development. So we want the commission to put the operational directives together for the Director of Economic Development?
I don't think so.
Then it says, in addition to such powers, the commission shall conduct research. This is the charter, right?
Yep.
That's the charter. That's, yeah.
The commission shall establish operational directives. I read that. In addition to such powers, the commission shall conduct research into economic conditions and trends in the town, shall make recommendations to appropriate officials and agencies of the town regarding actions to improve the economic condition and development, coordinate the activities, promote economic development, and may advertise and may prepare, print, and distribute books, maps, charts, and pamphlets, which in its judgment will further its official purpose. To me, and that is the job of the economic director, not a commission that is a volunteered position. You can tell me I'm wrong though.
Well, the commission was, from when I first found out about it and got involved with it, the whole idea was that at the time we had an economic development director. And the idea was that you had this commission of citizens to kind of guide the vision for the director, to say, this is the utopian economic world we want. You're the person with the know-how, you're the director, make it happen. So how do we feel about that? I mean, what is the point of having an economic development commission if we have an economic development? Do we think that just having the director is enough? I think a lot of citizens are going to say, no, we want to have we want to have a board of citizens who that director has to, at the very least, report to, which, if I understand correctly, was not happening, which is why a whole bunch of members just kind of gave up a while ago.
Yeah, we have to make the fundamental decision of whether we're going to have a economic development director or not.
But if we have an economic, I agree with that. I agree with both of you are saying, but in turn, and tell me if I'm just overthinking this, you're going to have an economic director who is paid for by the town, right?
Through, I think it was kind of through the EDC's budget. That was kind of the whole thing, is because when Fred left,
yeah,
it was, we, the EDC, now have this amount of budget to hire somebody. So part of that is making sure if the director is going to be there, that's going to readjust how the budgeting is done.
The commission doesn't have any precedence over the budget, though. It shouldn't.
it's the town's.
No, they should get I could see them, as it says, getting a stipend where they're working. But I'm to Anne Marie's, to her point, yeah, the director would be the one saying, hey, my idea is that we're going to have these pamphlets about how awesome this event is, and we're going to distribute them. Now, if we have an economic development commission of citizens who say, hey, listen, you have your ideas, but we really think that promoting the Strand is a big thing. We want to, for whatever angle that is, I think they could work with him, and there could be a small budget if we have a commission for the commission to also do some things. But yeah, everything would pretty much be under the EDCs, the directors, but that budget.
So I have a fundamental problem of whether a commission has control of any of the budget. You can by what Brian read, said you can have a budget of 1/20th of 1% of the grand list.
Any idea what that is?
Brian, and I was guessing that was for like resourcing, surveys, paying for like things like that, like literature.
Research.
Yeah.
Yeah, hiring somebody to find out.
But from an EDC standpoint, it has nothing to do with us paying that individual for a role within the town.
No, that's for the commission. It's not for the director. Right. That's for the commission. It's not for the director.
Correct.
The commission to spend money like on pamphlets and stuff like that.
Exactly.
Okay.
For research or
Yeah. Your charter. As I say, your charter tracks the state statute except for the line, the commission shall establish operational directives to be executed by the director of economic development.
I would think that the economic director of development would report to the first selectman.
I would agree. And I think that the position we would take is the charter is inconsistent with the state statute. So the state statute's control over charter. So the economic development director, he or she would report to you as first selectman. The commission can do the rest, can make recommendations, etc. Right. Assuming you want a commission in the first place. You don't have to give them a budget, you can.
I think we need a commission. I think we all agree that we need a commission, correct?
Yeah. I don't want the director to...
Go ahead.
I don't want the director to be absolutely beholden to where they're dictating everything that happens, but I do think there should be some necessity for communication between the two of them.
I agree. I agree that the commission and the director should work together. I don't think he should report to them.
No.
I think part of the conflict before was that they felt that should be the case. And then it went from not only that not being the case, but no communications at all. So even though they had, let's say, desires of how they wanted him to spend his time, there was no way to even communicate that. So setting up something where they're going to, I guess we could start facing those problems as they come up later. But, what happens if the director starts saying, I don't have time to deal with the commission?
Oh, no, because part of his job would be that he attends the EDC monthly meetings.
And he has to report on what they're recommending to the board. So, and then he can't make final say over that. That would be Anne Marie's final decision.
That'd be the selectman's final.
Or the board, board selectman.
Right. Yeah, and that's
he's just the person that facilitates that interaction between the board of selectmen and that commission.
Mm-hmm.
And
because we haven't been able to get that commission to talk to the board for a year per Kurt. Now, I guess, Anne Marie, you just talked to someone, right?
Colleen, Karen.
Yeah, right.
What's Karen? And Karen.
But prior to that, Kurt said he was reaching out to that board and they weren't coming in front of the Board of Selectmen.
They were having major communication issues is what I got from Karen. I mean, and they were kind of upset that they weren't invited to ribbon cutting events. And I said, there have been no ribbon cutting events because we're in the middle of COVID. And
did they reference a ribbon cutting event that they weren't?
Apparently, and Rory can correct me if I'm wrong, and maybe I misunderstood it, but I don't think so. There's a new hair salon that opened up in downtown Seymour that they were not made aware of opened up.
You know, I think it all goes back to just the fact that the role of the EDC was not clear.
No.
They felt that they were the boss, period, of the economic development director. And so, you know, I don't know. I did the ribbon cuttings in the interim between Fred Masori and Sadie. I don't know who would have forgotten them. I always included them. But I think it comes down to just the role of the commission itself being unclear, as well as the relationships between the first selectman's office, the commission, and the economic development director.
Well, and if you read, I guess if you read the charter, you might argue that they might think they have a bigger role than truly what they should be.
If you read the charter, they surely do, because they're to go in front of every other board and say yes or, you know, the yays or the nays. But
they haven't fulfilled any of that. So you could argue, while they might want to take one line of that charter, they haven't fulfilled any of the other lines.
Well, and you know, Rob, were you on that chart? Were you on that committee? They could sit there.
I was too.
They were never asked by, they were never approached by the zoning. They were never approached by the inland wetlands. They were never approached by this. I mean,
I don't think that's what this, I thought that they were to supply a report to them. I believe. It wasn't driven by those groups. They were supposed to report to those groups, the way I read it.
How'd you read it, Rob?
I'm gonna reread it right now.
I mean, and that's how I read it, but to them, I mean, and I spoke to Chris Bowen, who was on that committee as well, when he came into my office last week. And he was like, well, they want business cards. And I'm like, I don't even have business cards.
For what? What is the business card for?
Because the idea was that the EDC, the members, would be the main point of contact. Anybody, I'm looking around for business places. I'm looking to open an office. I'm looking for anything. That let's say Chris Bowen, Karen, any of those people would be, until there was an official director, would be the person who's going to facilitate. Kind of, you know, when how pretty much what after Fred left, what Kurt and Rory were doing, would be the ones to facilitate. And you know, that's a full-time job, and you have a bunch of volunteers, which is why I think, to your point earlier, there was just no real clarity as to what this commission was, what the scope of what they were going to do was. But the idea was, we the commission are the point. Anybody who's looking to do anything should come through us. We will help facilitate and direct them through the process. You know, we are the end all be all.
Okay, so before I would do a business card, Rob, if I wanted to be that, I would have literature or develop some type of pamphlet before I needed a business card. So let's pick the battle of what you would do first if that was the real reason.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't buy that, so.
Yeah, the conversation we had with Chris, former chair, was you know, essentially, does a single member of the commission speak for the entire commission
Or the town.
as well as the town of Seymour? So can a single, if they're engaging in a back and forth, is what they say, does that represent both the feeling of the commission as a whole, as well as, you know, the town? And that was why we said no to business cards. We said we would set up one general email address for them and give them a thing like that. But then we said, you know, what phone number are we going to put? The one at town hall that nobody's going to answer? You know, it just...
Right. No, I get it. Right. But and then it falls back to then, you know, what are we doing about the economic development director? Because this was written with the intention that there's a director in place.
Yep.
It's not written with the intention that there is no director.
The commission should be, I hesitate to say in charge, but the way I envision this, there's a commission of citizens. They're going to have a hand in making sure a competent director is picked. The director is going to be an employee of the town. They're going to work with him so that you have representation from the town for what the wishes of the town are, and kind of an accountability to have him check in and to see that things are on track, even though they don't, he or her, sorry. So
I'm going to scare Anne Marie when I say this. And I know she's going to be very upset when I say it.
Never.
But in lieu of the not having an economic development director, the next person that would be representative of the town would be the first select woman. Mm-hmm. And then it's not us as a board to decide whether we are going to have an economic development director or not. But not having one would make Anne Marie or the first select woman the responsible party to represent the town as the individual person who would represent the town. That's the way I would see it. Especially if the EDC director reports to Anne Marie. Once you lose that vacancy, then that responsibility should flow to who it reports to. Mm-hmm. Just saying.
Do you see a world without a commission?
I don't see a world without a commission.
I think they can help.
I think they can help because if anything, they could work together on, you know, I look at it like a safety committee, all right, in my world, right? So when there's an issue on the floor, an issue at a site, who are the peers going to go to? You know, who are the people who are going to go to? They're going to go to their peers, their safety committee people, who are going to bring it to the management. So who is going to go, who from the town do they have to speak to? They don't really want to speak to the first selectman because they're going to figure they're going to get the push off. So they'll go to the people that they know on the committee, the commission, the EDC. Hey, what can we do to get a Trader Joe's? Hey, what can we do to get a bookstore? Hey, what can we do to get anything but a package store, a pizza joint, and a bank in this town? They're going to go to the commission. The commission can then go to the EDC director and say, yo, this is what our constituents want. They want, well, it's really not their constituents. This is what the residents of town want. What can we need to do?
So the commission is the residents' interface, not the party that interacts with the businesses and...
Correct.
So, yeah, and also though, too, I would add though that economic development director is going to they're going to create a strategy. I would hope anybody who got that role would create a strategy. And that could be a sounding board. That group could be his sounding board to say, hey, I'm thinking these things, you know, and get the feedback from them who should be interacting with the public. I mean, that to me, you know, to use it as a sounding board as well, not just one way where they go get information. He's going to create a plan and he's got to roll it. He can't roll out to everybody. So he's got to have a place to be able to bring that.
No, right. And they work together, just like your safety teams. They work together. They go back to the management. Management says, well, hey, how will this work? Or how will that work? What if we do this? And what if we do that? And they go back, yep, this is what they want. You work together as a team. And I agree that that's not what our former director had, as well as the commission, because the commission basically felt that you report to me. And they didn't. He didn't. He reported to the first selectman. But if you looked at the paper, it said otherwise.
So I think we need, whatever we need to do to address that, Brian, I know we've said a lot of different things. I think that's going to be important.
In all honesty, I was on the Board of Selectmen when Paul Roy hired Fred Masori. And I even thought that Fred reported to Paul and he reported to the board, because when he had to give his long reports of what was going on, he presented it to the Board of Selectmen. He didn't present it to the EDC because he works for the town. And the Board of Selectmen, we have the overall responsibility for the town. The EDC, you know, is an appointed position where we're the elected position. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So
what can we do about the charter?
I don't know, Rory, Brian, what can we do about the charter? We're going to have to change the charter.
Well, the way to change it is to have a charter revision commission, or we can take the position in the ordinance. And we can argue that it's beyond the scope of 7.136, the operational directives versus policy directives. You know, arguably, the policy directives are still made by the first selectman as the direct supervisor. It's the operational directives that the commission establishes how to do specifically what the policy directive. If the policy directive is to have more, promote downtown businesses, the commission can tell the director, you're going to do that. You're going to operationally satisfy that policy directive by having, Christmas shopping hours, restaurant week, Thursday, 2 weeks before Christmas, shop and stroll events like a lot of towns do. That would be more of an operational directive. Or we can just take the position that, that it's not a power they're given under 7.136 of the statutes to give operational directives. Just research into conditions, make recommendations to officials and agencies regarding action to improve the economic condition and development, and to seek and coordinate activities with unofficial bodies. So if they're going to make a recommendation to improve economic development, that's a recommendation that the commission is making. It's up to you as the first selectman to empower or direct your chairman to do exactly that. And that's the position I would take. That your current charter is inconsistent in that regard. They can make recommendations, but they can only make recommendations to the appropriate officials of the municipality.
Okay.
So I think we would just rewrite this to be consistent with your 12-3 of the charter, as well as 7-136 of the statutes, and take out everything in particular.
You remove that one line that says commission shall establish operational directives?
Yeah.
No, because that's in the charter. We don't have the power to amend the charter. You can only do that by a charter revision commission. Okay. I cannot do that. But I would not put that in the ordinance. I would make sure that's not in the ordinance.
And then how do we, and just saying that, so let's say we correct the ordinance and we want that as a recommendation for any future charter revisions, how do we keep that? Do we have a list that we maintain?
Rory, I think Rory talked about that last time. He was making notes, Rory, of things that we have to look at on a go-forward basis, correct?
For the charter?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Correct, yeah. The Board of Ethics was the other one.
Correct.
Okay, so
you capture that, Rory, and then whenever there's a new charter commission, you make those or at least show those recommendations to the charter revision? Because that's what happened when we were on it. The board made recommendations.
Yeah. I mean, the only thing I would be worried about is, you know, I'll keep a file, but just making sure that that file gets looked at would be the challenge. If I'm here, it's not a problem. If I'm not here.
No, yeah, that's why I'm saying it too. How do we keep some of these things alive independently of whether if we're all alive or don't get hit by a bus? I mean, there should be some way to keep that all documented, independent of person.
Yeah, I mean, I would assume as part of succession planning, you know, that would be one of the documents that gets passed along.
I think that would be part of the office of the first select person, so that the next charter revision commission, he or she can pull up that file and pass it off to him.
So this MC website has something called pending amendments. Are those have to be formal? Like they would have to be already in process? You couldn't keep those as a...
What is the MC? What are you talking about?
The website where the charter is, there's something called, there's different...
Oh, MC, I see what you're saying. The municipal code, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it says pending amendments. You can't save that, or you can't save future thoughts, or...
Where are you seeing pending amendments on that?
In the more, if you say show changes on the top and then more.
Show changes, more, yep, okay, more.
And it says pending amendments. Can you add something without it being?
I think those are amendments that may not take place until a date in the future, something that has a sunrise date, yeah.
So they have to be, more of the point where you're making it, they have to be approved or already in process. Okay. I think
I like the way having Rory keep track of this, and on his master version of the charter in his office, just insert a hard copy right into it. Yeah, so his successor, whoever that may be, whenever that may be, would have that in front of him.
Never. Okay, so I feel like we've kind of come to a rough version of what we want this commission to be going forward. I'm going to have to replay the video, but at one point, I think we kind of spelled it out well.
I can replay the video. I think the commission's job is to work along with the director, not as his boss or her boss, because the EDC director ultimately reports to the Board of Selectman or to the first selectman.
So it is more of a resident interface, sounding board, place where citizens would come to the commission, voice their opinion to the commission, who could then voice it to the director and work with them on satisfying possibly some of those wishes like that.
And
good old Trader Joe.
The commission would work with the director as far as what they would like to see, because they are town residents as well. And what else would they like to see? You know?
Agreed.
I don't think having a town employee report to a volunteer board is the way to go.
Yeah. And I think that's where things got a lot, I'm going to say off track, is the idea of reporting to as if the commission was the superior in that, where had it been a collaboration from the get-go. I think the mentality of we're in charge, you answer to us. I mean, I don't know. I wasn't there in those days. We could probably talk. I know Pat Lombardi was in there. Maybe he can shed some light on more particulars, but moving forward a much more collaborative rather than subordinate.
Well, especially if there's going to be performance appraisals, because if you have an EDC director and the first selectwoman would have to do his performance appraisal and all that stuff. So I don't think that should come from a commission.
I'm sure they're going to want to put in their little, their own review of how things have been going for consideration.
But that would be Anne Marie's responsibility as the performance.
Yeah.
You know, the head, you know, as the manager to get feedback from others.
Yeah.
Well, right now it's my position, right? But who's ever sitting in this seat 10, 15 years from now, it would be their position.
Right. Yeah, I'm just using you as the example.
Because that's who's in the seat now.
You got the seal behind you.
I do. Well, yeah, the seal's behind me because no one liked my smirky picture. I didn't, you know, and it's awful because as long as I've been on the Board of Selectmen, I never realized that the EDC director was reporting to the EDC committee, and no wonder why there were so many, I don't want to say issues, so many concerns. Is that a better word?
Yeah.
Or the lack of communication is because he probably didn't think he had to report to them. Why would he have to report to them when he interviewed with us, the Board of Selectmen? Now, and Stefan is the one that made the comment of anybody that we're going to hire in town comes before the Board of Selectmen, not their commission. So.
Agreed.
Which brings us to, we need a director.
Yeah. But didn't we have a committee together? I could have sworn someone said we had a committee together.
Yes.
Oh, that's us. Wait a minute.
So, Anne-Marie, would we give that role? I mean, you have from a headcount planning perspective, that means you had a role with a budget for that job, correct?
Yes.
So
go ahead, Rory. What?
Could you repeat the question?
No, that the economic development director, it is a role within the budget. There's headcount that should be open for that particular role.
Correct. I believe Chris Bowen brought up the fact that if you recall earlier, probably like right after July, maybe even before, we moved some money around.
Right. Yep. I remember.
And so the EDC director position was one of them, but that money hasn't been spent. It was just moved to contingency. So it is there.
Correct. So with that said, now we've allowed the board to make a recommendation of who the person should be. Shouldn't that be given to the human resource manager to post for a job within the town? I mean, because we gave it to the commission to make a recommendation of who they wanted hired.
Oh, we just went through this at our last Board of Selectmen meeting.
Yeah, right. So the selectmen created the executive search committee at the last meeting. Brian, I don't know if there's any kind of legal requirement as to whether the job has to be publicly posted, or for executive searches, if it is just, you know, at the pleasure of the executive search committee.
I believe that's correct. It's a non-union position, executive level position.
So it's a non-union position. So the board, the search board can interview who's ever applied, whoever we feel is fit, application fits the position.
Correct. Like if there are people you guys want us to reach out to about whether they're interested and would like to, you know, be considered for the position, we can do that. We can post it publicly. you know, we can approach it any number of ways. It's just that you guys will ultimately be in charge of the hiring. You know what I mean?
That's fine, but the posting of that role, I think I'm thinking about it from a Chris Pelosi standpoint. He should be posting that as a vacant role within town versus the commission giving us someone that they wanted to hire part-time. I mean, am I?
No, I see what you're saying. Chris should put that up. That way somebody from New York or Massachusetts who's looking to relocate and looking for a job as a economic development director would be able to say, oh, look, Seymour's got a opening.
So we should have Chris Pelosi post it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm floating that out there, guys. I'm just thinking about it from a, if I had an open role, what I would do, right?
Yeah.
It would solve so many problems, I think.
It what?
It would solve so many problems, I think.
You know, I think if that's the route you guys want to take, we can absolutely do that. I don't think that's a bad thing, right? To your point, if we knew somebody who we thought was good for the job, they'd probably already be in the job, right? So I think, yeah, we can cast a much wider net. The only thing I'll say is we had given the Economic Development Commission the job description going back to when Fred Masori held the role, with the intent of saying, like, do you guys agree that this is what the position should be doing? Is this what you would like the new position to do? And they just handed it back to us when we met with them without any changes.
Right. So
maybe you guys, as the selectmen, would want to take a look at the job description to update it.
Yeah, I would. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, I can, we had sent along in the packet for tomorrow some stuff that Karen had given us during when we spoke with her. I don't know if we included the job description, but if not, I'm going to be sending out the copies of the ordinances that Brian put together, and I will include the job description with those for tomorrow night.
Awesome.
So we cover EDC?
As much as we can for now.
I think so, as much as we can.
Yeah.
I'll have a rewrite for your next meeting.
For our next December meeting, not tomorrow's meeting.
The next meeting of this commission.
Okay.
This committee, rather. I'm sorry.
Okay. Scared me there.
No.
Okay.
I mean, I could have it for tomorrow, but I'd rather you look at it first and we vet it in this group first.
So something I thought was going to take a long time didn't really take a long time, which is kind of good.
Yeah.
Yay, early meeting. Bye, guys.
All right.
Can we cover anything else, or
are we good on the EDC?
For now, I think we've established.
Captured everything. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. It's going to be a process because we got to, see how ordinance is going to go, deal with how it is in the charter, deal with how that's going to go over with the idea that we're going to be shifting how they operate. And I mean, there's got to be a huge focus on getting a development director right now and the method to do that. So are we done with EDC? No. Are we making great strides? Yes.
Let me rephrase that.
Can I recommend, as when you guys go to interview for the position eventually, that you include as an interview question, what should the role of the economic development director be and how should they interact with? Maybe they can, provide us some insight as to how we should structure things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's an excellent point, Rory.
As well as where do you want to be when you grow up?
Exactly.
So can we just look at duties and advisory commission where it says the Economic Development Commission on a passage of this division will act as an advisory commission? Do you think we could take that out?
Are you reading? You're reading in the current Division 11, Section 2-160-2. Yeah, what the charter says that the in addition to the operational directives, in addition, the commission shall conduct research into economic conditions and trends in town, shall make recommendations to appropriate officials and agencies regarding action to improve its economic condition and development, shall coordinate activities to promote economic development, and may advertise, maps, charts, pamphlets, books. The Economic Development Commission shall, from time to time, make such recommendations as it deems appropriate to the Planning and Zoning Commission with respect to possible amendments to the master plan or the zoning regs as they affect industrial and commercial developments. And your state statute, a little bit different. Conduct research into economic conditions, make recommendations to appropriate officials and agencies regarding action to improve its economic condition and development, and seek to coordinate the activities and cooperate with unofficial bodies organized to promote economic development. So it doesn't get into this advisory. We could take that out.
I guess the next meeting can go through like A, B, and then the expansion of change in industrial operations.
I'll put in language that would follow the state statute and your charter, and then you look at that as a red line, and that's a better way to get it all in front of us on paper, and I think it'll make more sense.
Yeah, because I don't think we should be going into buildings and asking them what their square footage is, and
No, that's a function of the assessor more than anything. Yeah. Or the zoning enforcement officer, should they think there's a zoning violation that we're in addition with no permit.
Yeah, I mean, as Rory and I were reading this, we're like, holy cow, they have more power than anybody in this board, and it's about.
I was shocked when I read it.
Well, and $200 a day, Madam First Selectman, for violations.
I know. God, we'd be rich. What's the matter, Rob?
Oh, no, I mean, just think like the 2-106.5. I'm thinking about how many permits go out, and building inspector will not issue any permits or sign any approvals until they have received and reviewed the written advisory report of the Economic Development Commission. I'm just in a doubt that has ever happened.
And I could see a mandamus action being brought against the town because someone needs a building permit. Economic development doesn't meet or meets and won't give the approval. And they're saying, who do these people think they are? They have no right to do that. That's illegal. They have no power to do that.
But that's not my favorite one. My favorite one is 160.4. Once an industrial operation is located in the town of Seymour and plans to expand or plans to change any of its operations for more than 30 calendar days in any 1 year, including but not limited to the type of product to be manufactured, any hazardous or toxic material to be stored or used in their operation. Apparently they don't understand that they have to report that anyway.
Well, yeah, I was going to say that comes somewhere else. That shouldn't.
More important, this may discourage economic development. If a business were to read this and say, I can't make change in my operation until this commission says I can.
Yeah.
What if they don't? I don't want to move in that town. They're too restrictive.
Right.
What if we got a P&D facility in here, where they were, a trial facility where they're trying, different types of material, whether they were using this type of a cleaner or that type of a cleaner.
But zoning would handle a bunch of that, the zoning board, correct? On changes.
No, I mean, with the type of, if they have any hazardous or toxic material.
Yeah, I was gonna say hazardous stuff, right?
But even hazardous or non-hazardous, it falls under the SARA Act, which if you have X amount of chemicals on site, or if you have an extremely hazardous substance on site, you have to file a form. And this form goes to the LEPC. Remember, we talked about them, our local emergency planning commission, and it goes to the state emergency response commission. It goes to the fire marshal. It goes to the fire departments. So when they have to go fight fires, they know that there's methyl ethyl kill you or sulfuric acid there, or, you know, like Keyright has organic peroxide there, you know, so they know all that. It's no one else's business by rights what they have there. If they have oils, they have an SPCC plan. They have a contingency plan on what to do in case there's a leak. So they have all this. I just think that these plans were written probably prior to 1976, and you know, before we had a DEP, before we had regulations put into place.
Right. Under the way it's written, Thule could come in and say, we're expanding from roof racks to small utility trailers to carry motorcycles. And this commission could say, no, you're not. We don't think that's a good expansion. And then that's a big problem, I think, for economic development.
Or you know, basement systeming.
Mm-hmm. We're going to expand to attics from basements. And they say, no, it's a different,
Yeah, I was more talking about the hazardous stuff that has to be identified in a building.
Well, that's regulated. I mean, you've got the local fire marshals as well, and the DEP. There's all kinds of regulations that beyond their bailiwick of an economic development commission.
Right.
Yeah. I think it's what this board is taking the things and we're looking at it and going through it. That's for sure. All right. Do we want to tackle anything else? Do we want to tackle Strategic Planning Commission or no?
I don't know. I would leave each one of these
for another day.
Yeah, I like the big topics like that. I like the idea of being able to give them all their due time.
Absolutely.
But when I looked at the strat plan, I didn't think it was that bad. I mean, if you wanted to get something out of the way, instead, unless you saw something that was dramatically.
No, I didn't.
I'll be honest with you, I read this and I went, geez, Kathy's following this to the letter of the law. You know, at that point.
Then let's go. I'm down.
Okay.
That's Division 15 2-160.141. If you're looking for it on your online in the document.
Nope, I have my hard copies. Dang it. Economic Development Commission there. Strategic Planning Commission. There shall be established a commission to study the needs, challenges, and conditions affecting the town of Seymour. Commission shall be known as a Strategic Planning Commission. It shall consist of 7 members with minority representation considered, appointment by the first selectmen. And that's what they're doing. Each member serves 2 years. Serves term for 2 years. Rory, what's the term on each member has been on there for 2 years?
Yeah, I think this one has the benefit of being pretty recent. This was written under Kurt, and so nothing got lost along the way. I've been there since this was written. Kathy has been there more or less since this was written. So. Yep,
and they just gave us their update, right? Oh no, they haven't.
Well, they're going to do it tomorrow. They're actually going to do a report, right, Rory?
Yep.
I didn't see
any changes to it, so
I don't see anything wrong with that. I think they're good to go forward. Brian.
Okay. I'm looking at it here.
Woohoo!
That was easy.
Municipal erosion control. Isn't their mission, the erosion control part of the Board of Selectmen already, Rory?
I believe that's what the ordinance says. It designates the Board of Selectmen.
15.
Okay. I'm sorry, Rory, what did you say?
I said, I believe that the ordinance designates the Board of Selectmen fill that role.
I think you're right.
Yeah, selectmen to constitute board, 2.2-62.
The municipal. So do we really have to change anything in here?
I would assume that this is one of those statutory ones. So I don't know, Brian, if it differs a lot from what the statute dictates, or
I'm just
if
calling
it's just
it
a
now.
rules.
I'm calling it up now.
Which number was this one?
This is
Division 4.
Division 4, Municipal Flood and Erosion Control Board, Section 2.61.
Okay.
Yeah, the selectmen are the board. I could just look at the Connecticut general statutes and make sure it's consistent with it.
Yeah, all right.
I mean, that has the issue of being able to condemn property. Wow.
Yeah, that's where I was looking too.
Condemnation.
Yeah, I'd rather have a selectman versus a separate commission.
Mm-hmm.
The Board of Selectmen is your flood and erosion control board.
Yeah.
Brian, if you can just go through it and make sure it meets state statute.
Absolutely.
And then come back to us in our meeting, our next meeting, to let us know what the changes are.
Will do.
And I'm not quite sure what assessments they're speaking of.
Yeah, when assessments due, notification.
What assessment?
Determination of assessment, 2-66, whenever it is.
Assessment is made or provided in division.
Well, if there has to be if there's a flood or erosion control system, they could make an assessment under 2-65 to defray some or all the cost of that.
Property in excess of the special benefits.
If you look, it talks about how to apply that assessment.
I wanted to make sure we weren't getting involved with the Clean Water Act and the wastewater treatment facility assessments. If this is just the flooding assessment. But then it goes back to delinquent accounts.
So but this is if it affects personal property, correct? And the town has to.
I guess that would be if like
or
a dam broke.
Exactly. That's a perfect example.
Right.
Like the dam over at the Key.
Or if we had to put up a dam and we needed property, right? Would that, like if it was somebody's personal property and we needed space, is that?
Yeah.
I hope the town never has to put a dam in because those are pretty darn expensive.
Yeah, I'm just using that as an example, right? I'm just.
Yeah, if we had to take somebody's property to be able to do that.
At the end of it. Maybe. Then I think the Army.
Yeah, and flood and erosion control systems are defined as dikes, berms, dams, piping, groin, jetty, seawall, embankment, revetment, tide gate, water storage area, ditch, drain, or other structure or facility useful in preventing or ameliorating damage from floods or erosion, whether caused by fresh or salt water, or any dam forming a lake or pond that benefits abutting properties and shall include easements, right-of-way, and riparian rights in furtherance of such system.
So if we had to increase the piping for effluent flow of our storm drains and it had to cross somebody's property, this would apply.
Storm drains, yes, because that would manage a part of a flood or erosion control system, yes, versus sanitary, yes.
Right, yeah.
Which is what we actually did over on not Patton Ave, over by that apartment place off of South Main Street.
Yeah, and that assessment we just got where they said that some of the storm drains were not the right size, and I just remember hearing that.
Yeah.
Yeah, if there's a lot of development on a street and now more water goes into the street and the current storm drain cannot handle it, you can put a new one in and assess those properties under 2587 of the statute that you feel is benefited by that.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
Right. Look at that. 3 more done tonight. I mean, we're
seems so excited
on the EDC. I think that one's going to be a long one, but I think we did a lot tonight on that one. Mm-hmm. It will help us tomorrow to discuss it in our Board of Selectmen meeting. As far as the commission. I don't think the EDC realized how much power they had, or they did realize how much power they had, and we as a board didn't realize how much power they had.
I feel like if they did, they probably would have talked to Jim Baldwin a while ago and said, hey, you need to, talk to us before you give anyone a permit. It would have come up that way when Jim said, wait, what?
You talking to me?
Okay, so Strategic Planning Commission is all set. That's good. We can move that forward. Municipal erosion control, Brian, you're going to look at the state statute and compare it and get back to us for our December meeting.
Correct.
EDC, we are still working on. We've come to an agreement on a lot of things, but I think by taking it chapter or verse or section by section is what we should do.
Mm-hmm.
Right? What are the next ones that we want to look at? Because we're not stopping now that we're on a roll.
I don't know. I thought we had the next 2 weeks buttoned up. So now we got to find what would just be the next thing to go through?
Well, definitely EDC.
Oh yeah, that's always going to be there. Where do we pretty much ran through all of Article 2, right?
I think so.
Yeah, Article 2, I think we're through.
Yeah, Friends of Broad Street. We talked about each of those things. Are we moving on to, even though EDC is going to be an ongoing discussion, are we moving on to Article 3? Basically just each do a read through and see if anything jumps out.
the next logical step, unless you wanted, there's something that was standing out that we wanted to jump on before that.
Nothing I'm aware of, so.
Anything that the first select woman would like done first?
Move on to Article 3.
Okay.
Officers and officials.
When's our next meeting?
Article 3 is building commissions.
Article 3, I have officers and officials.
Yeah, it's officers and officials.
All right.
And there's only 6 divisions. Yeah, so it's town clerk, assessor, justice of the peace, demolition officer, finance officer. That one should go quick.
Yeah, and I think we did charter revision something with the JPs, didn't we? The number you can have. I remember talking about that.
Yeah, that takes place in January.
Yeah, remember there was like 300. I forget what we did. I remember it was a huge number that you had.
It was 100 and something.
Right.
Rory?
Your statute says 300.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they wanted to do 100, and then Stefan brought up the point, why don't we just make it a number so large we'll never have to do it again? So 300.
Yeah, it's 300.
Oh, good.
How many weddings do you have a year in Seymour?
Wow.
Charlie had any this year because
That's a lifetime supply of JPs.
But if you need one, just throw a rock, and whoever you hit, it's probably the JP.
Yep. All right. So Article 3, officers and I believe that. All right. That's the next one.
All right. Next meeting's on the 14th.
Sure. I believe that.
Rob, that's the holiday meeting, so you can bring cookies. Bob, you can bring make pastries and bring.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You're right.
And Board of Selectmen's on the 15th, right? Tuesday, 15th?
I just feel
It's on
like
the Wednesday.
what?
It's on the Wednesday that week because of the Great Hill.
They're not having their party.
I know, but we had scheduled the meeting for the Wednesday when we set the agenda last year.
It's on the books. Okay, so you want to keep this on Monday, or do you guys want to? I mean, that works for me.
Either Monday or Tuesday, the 14th or the 15th. It's up to you. If you want, if we want to do it on Monday, I would prefer to do it on Monday.
I'd rather keep it on Monday.
Okay.
I've got baby classes we're trying to do that we got to do, and it was going to be Tuesday, and it would have been cutting it real close. So I'm actually really glad that Board of Selectmen got moved to Wednesday.
No, oh, that's right. It's coming soon, huh?
January 26th.
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Things change now, Rob.
Yeah.
I have another meeting on the 14th right now in another town.
You're cheating on us?
I'm sorry. It's always the second Monday of the month.
That BOS meeting change screwed me up. That's Porchetta night. You may not see me. That's Porchetta at the Italian American Club.
Bob, just zoom from it. You know, you just.
Well, how about, do you guys want to do the 7th instead?
That's WPCA for me.
Oh, that's right.
Thank you.
No problem.
I mean,
what time? We're doing this at 7 o'clock. I don't have, on the 14th, I don't have to start my meeting until 8 o'clock. So if you want to start.
You want to do earlier? Like
a little bit earlier. That's what I was.
6 o'clock if you want.
6 o'clock, did you say? 6 o'clock would be perfect.
I'm fine with that.
I think I'm okay, yeah. Yep.
That's perfect.
Check your work schedules, please.
So I'm sorry, what was the day you guys settled on?
Monday the 14th.
At 6 p.m., Rory, is the first select woman free?
Okay.
I don't know. I have to check my.
I know Rory kept your calendar. Who keeps your calendar?
He knows better than me.
That's why I figured.
Did you already put it in there, Rory?
I'm not that.
Did yours pop up when you started putting it into your phone as already having a Zoom thing?
Yeah. Oh, it's November 16th. Never mind. I was like, wow, Rory, you're good.
Yeah, I thought I saw the same thing too.
All right. Yeah, no. Alana has driver's ed class that day, but that's Zoom, so it's okay.
Zoom driver's ed.
2-hour parent alcohol and drug class today. I wanted to shoot myself.
I remember those days.
Oh, I got a decade and a half to relax before that happens to me.
Rob, it goes so fast. It's not even funny.
Put that money away.
Oh yeah.
College tuition away.
Enjoy.
No, just no. I'm not even no college tuition. No, this is going to be. I want him to take some money management, business management. You know, some courses in that, but electrician, plumber, pick one of those. Because everybody I know who's got money still has to pay somebody to do the electrical work, and that's, oh man, those guys are rolling in it right now. But I also know a bunch of them who have literally no idea how to run a business. So it's, you know, they're going to be laborers their whole lives. So it's going to be do some business management, money management courses, and then do it.
And have her learn your trade.
Yeah, nah. Who knows where DRS will be 15, 20 years from now. I'd rather sell it off. We'll see what happens.
Well, right, even for college, for everything else you're going to spend on until he gets out of the house.
Well, it's I'll start the chat, which for some reason I always thought the chat was locked up unless they went to school. But now I know that you just have to pay taxes on it. You know, the benefit of it is that it's tax free. If they don't go to school, you could still take the money out. You just got to pay taxes on it. So we're going to call it College or Dad's Boat Fund. And we're going to see. You don't want to go to college?
Yeah.
Right? You get to go on a boat?
I wish I was Rob's age again, thinking the same way when I was Rob.
Yeah.
Young and naive.
I'm only thankful that Alana's the only grandchild. That is what is saving me from college.
It's a good thing this is being recorded, because in 17 years, we're going to play this back.
Leave this, Rory. You're going to need it.
Rory, put that in your permanent notes as well.
Time capsule this for 17, 18 years from now.
What was my dad thinking?
Yeah.
What were our parents saying?
Boy, did he look young in that video.
Oh, the great, just finding out that I was going to be a father, the gray hair started popping out.
Stop. It's not that bad.
No.
Kids are great. All right, guys.
Thank you.
I will see you all tomorrow.
All right. Everybody have a nice night. Nice seeing you.
Thank you. Thank you, Rory.
Thank you, Rory.